Justin Bell, and I'm the studio audio director at Obsidian Entertainment. Our most recent project is The Outer Worlds. It's a single-player role-playing game. I was the audio director and composer on that project, and I worked with a team of 8 sound designers. We tend to make the games from end to end, so we make the sounds, we hook the sounds up, we test the sounds. It's a very technical and creative job. So at Obsidian, we use Nuendo, and we've been using it back since Nuendo 4. And on The Outer Worlds, we use Nuendo 10. And that allowed us to create all the content that you hear in the game, from the sound effects to the music, and that includes ambient sounds and emitters and scripted sounds and interactables and UI and cutscenes and Foley and footsteps and weapons and creatures and the music soundtrack and the interactive music soundtrack, and pretty much top to bottom, all that content was generated with Nuendo. And it just allows us to go straight to the point. You know, we're creative people, and we just want to make sounds and have that be heard in the game as quickly as possible. And all of the workflows that Nuendo offers us, we harness those things and we use them to our advantage to ensure that the game sounds as great as possible.
As a sound designer here at Obsidian, I contribute sounds and noises to a lot of our game projects. On The Outer Worlds, I was responsible primarily for implementing creature and robot audio, and that entailed basically fleshing out each one of our enemy combatants, whether they were a creature or a robot, with a sound set of combat sounds, idle sounds, and everything in between. Thankfully, we had Nuendo on this project. It's hard for me to imagine using another DAW. Handling all of these high asset counts and the ease of using Game Audio Connect with Wise, having all the content inside of Nuendo all the time, super robust feature set, made our lives a lot easier, and we could focus on the fun stuff.
I do sound design for all of the different facets of audio in a game. Specifically for The Outer Worlds, I worked on the weapon sound design. Weapon design is anytime a gun is fired or a sword is swung or hits something, all of those need to make a sound, and I am solely in charge of all of those sounds and making sure that they work within the context of the game. The Outer Worlds has probably upwards of 50 weapons in the game, and those weapons can actually be modded by the player, which needs to change the way that they sound. So you can imagine all the different combinations of damage type mods, silencer mods, those kinds of things that you would attach to the weapon, which fully change the soundscape. So at the end of the day, you have hundreds of combinations of weapons and mods that need to all make sounds. One of the great things about Nuendo is actually Game Audio Connect allows us to immediately export sounds from within Nuendo right into Wise, so we actually never really have to deal with file management because Wise automatically puts them in the right spot. And that saves us on a lot of time from having to move files from an exported folder, for instance, into the actual game. We can entirely skip that step with Game Audio Connect. I use Media Bay constantly to keep my library organized and easily find sounds that I need and bring them into my project. I would say Media Bay is probably single-handedly the most important tool in Nuendo for me.
I use Media Bay a ton. I mean, it's so convenient. The assets are right there. It's built into Nuendo. It's super fast. We use it pretty much exclusively here at Obsidian. A typical title can have anywhere from 10,000 to 70,000 assets, and a game like The Outer Worlds had about 70,000 assets for the game.
I got into game audio actually with a film and audio engineering background, and I found that after working a little bit in the recording studio environment that wasn't really where I was the most creatively fulfilled. So I started pursuing work in game audio where there was plenty of problems and creative challenges to be had, and I found that really satisfying, and here I am. One of the best parts of my job as a sound designer is having the freedom and creativity to find unique sounds in places that you might not expect. And on this project for The Outer Worlds, working on creatures specifically, I had to kind of try to think outside of the box to find some new sounds and bring some alien life forms to reality in ways that people haven't heard before. One friend that helped me out a lot on this project to that end is this rubber dog chew toy. And basically I was experimenting one day and I started rubbing it across my desk, and it made this really unique screeching, stuttering sound that actually ended up featuring pretty prominently in the design of one of our creatures, the mantisaurs. So my creative process pretty much begins entirely in Nuendo from track count 0. I'll bust out the microphones and start capturing source, either my own voice or props or effects. And all of the editing and processing happens within Nuendo as well. From time to time, I'll use the direct offline to clean things up using RX Connect and then bring them back in. But Nuendo is pretty much a self-contained environment for me and provides everything that I need to make sounds to throw into the game. And once I have assets that I'm happy with, I start using cycle markers to bulk export lots of those assets directly into Wise, where we can pretty much immediately start building them into the game and iterating on those sounds.
Nuendo allows us to work quickly. I think that that's the most important thing for us. We generally have a lot to do in a limited amount of time with a limited amount of people. And we don't want tools that get in our way. We don't want tools that require extra steps. You know, I'm a real big stickler on, you know, if you have to click something too many times to get through a process, then it's an inefficient process. And I'm constantly looking for ways to remove steps from our process so we can just get directly to implementing sounds, making sounds. Nuendo absolutely allows us to do that. It's the simple features too that really allow us to stay organized and moving quickly. Marker track and exporting cycle markers is a massive one. Game Audio Connect, which connects with Wise, is also another one. Render in Place is a massive one for us. All of these features really help us stay moving and stay creative. I mean, and that's really what it boils down to, is that, you know, when things get too technical, you lose creative steam, you lose creative momentum, and that's not what we want. We want people to stay creative because, first of all, it's more fun to, as a creative person, to just stay in the zone. But second of all, just from a production standpoint, that means we're getting things done quicker.
So right here in this room, actually, I record Foley with some of my mics straight into Nuendo, and then I can clip those things up, make edits to them, use whatever plugins I'm going to use, export those directly into Nuendo, and then directly into the game. So it's kind of like a seamless loop. And if I need to make any changes, it's super quick to just right back into Game Audio Connect, export from cycle markers, straight back into the game. One of the things that I really think is great about Nuendo is that Steinberg is always pushing to benefit the audio community. Like you see the randomizer, you see things like Game Audio Connect, and I see their presence at places like GDC, Game Sound Con. Every new update that I see, there's something new for game audio folks like myself.